Well, welcome to our Fathers in Retail series. I'm Mary Beth Garcia, the CEO of MOHR Retail, and I have the distinct pleasure of hosting today Rob Phillips, our Senior Director, National Retail Sales at Ariat. Welcome, Rob, and please tell me a little bit about your daughters.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Beth, for having me. So excited to be a part of this series. I know I saw the Mother's Day series a couple weeks ago, and appreciate for including me in the Father's Day series here. So my two daughters, I have Addison. We call her Addie. She's my youngest. She's 8 years old, and my oldest is Blair. She's 10. She'll be 11 in September. So yeah, it's a fun time, fun age. They're in school, but school just ended. Now they're ready for the summer, and that's when the real balancing act begins.
Wow, so school's already over in Colorado this summer.
Yes,
Wow.
school's out.
Well,
They're excited.
I bet they are. So you've got a full summer ahead of you, I'm sure,
Yep.
keeping an 8 and a 10-year-old entertained. So, well, let's get started. Let's think about some pivotal moments in your career where that were those moments that really influenced the experience as a father, but also being a parent. How did that help you and shape your leadership style at Ariat or other retailers that you've worked for?
Yeah. Really, that style has completely changed since being a father. I think, working with my kids as they were growing up, it's really taught me patience. And you have to have that patience. And so much in retail, it's fast paced and make decisions, or there's holiday sales coming up. Um, and so, really taking that, what I learned from fatherhood of taking a breath, slowing down a little bit, being really mindful of, how I'm approaching the situation. And it really all comes back to that, like I said, patience. That's helped. And, we have had quite a few moments, and it's something where typically I would have just acted really fast and made a decision. But slowing down for a moment, asking a lot of questions, asking the right questions with, my team, with the stores, to be really mindful of, my decisions and what I'm making and what I'm saying, how it's impacting the situation. And I think that is a direct tie back to what I try to be mindful of with my daughters as well.
Right. We're developing them into young adults and good human beings that you want. And so patience is extremely important. And you want to develop your leaders to help you continue the growth that you were experiencing at Area. That's great.
Exactly.
So we know retail leadership, and you're a longtime retailer, often requires long hours, a lot of travel, being constantly available, and especially our cell phones now. So how did you stay present and patient as a father while showing up for important moments like coaching sports, school events, or any other family milestones? How did you get that balance, Rob?
Yeah, I think it's, being really, and you said it, but really being into what I'm doing. So making sure that I am present if, a lot of times a lot of our meetings are on Zoom, like we are here today, or
Mhm.
if I'm in store with our store leaders or with our district managers, making sure that I'm present in that moment and I'm there for them. And it also goes for when I'm with my family, of making sure that I'm present with my family. And we do have to set boundaries through that of, if I'm at home and it's dinner time, I put my phone away and just make sure. But I think a big part of that is also communicating with my team and with my district managers, with store managers, really setting some of those boundaries to say when I am at home, typically, if it's between 5:30 and about 7 o'clock when my daughters get home, I like to spend that time with them, but I'm always going to have another hour or two later that evening to check my phone. Those emails are still going to be there. Those Slack messages are still going to be there. And also at the same time, if something is really important that pops up within the stores and it is an emergency, here's the best way to get a hold of me, like instantly send a text message and say, hey, can you chat right now, or can you talk right now? So it's really understanding when I'm present with my team, I'm fully in that. When I'm present with my family, I'm fully in that. One of the big things this year, and I'll use an example, actually coaching. So my background, I actually grew up playing competitive hockey, refereed professional hockey for a couple years afterwards. I got out of the sport for a long time as I was building my career. But recently, my daughter got into it, and she's like, can you coach me? And so it was this moment of, really thinking about work really hard, travel a lot, but this is something that I can do with my oldest daughter. And so it was really important to say, yes, I will coach you. I will be with you. I will be with your team. I couldn't be head coach because I couldn't be there all the time, but have a really good partner in that, in our head coach. And again, it's just being really open with him of I'm going to be gone this week. I'm going to be on the road. So it's allowed me to balance that, being there for my daughter, being there for her team, and coaching something that I love that's brought the sport back to me while also, you know, being able to hit all my work commitments. And so I really think um, understanding both of those. And the biggest part of that is just communicating with those around me, communicating with my team to say, this is my time with my family, communicating with, the other coaches that I'm working with to say, I'm going to be on the road and I can't be there this week, but I can help out as much as I can remotely as well.
Absolutely. And I think you're a role model for the leaders that are growing, their family now that work for you and report up to you at the district level or even the store level that, are kind of going through those challenges. You're kind of modeling how you can balance out. And I think that that's greatly appreciated how you
Yeah.
can share your leadership and your parenting on that.
Yeah,
And we
thank
were,
you. And I
yeah.
was going to say and it's kind of funny. I think back on this now, and it's not always perfect. I know there was, a couple months ago, there was a time that I was actually at a hockey game in the morning, and we had an emergency that popped up, and our team's getting ready to go warm up, and I get it on my phone, and I just said to the other coach, I said, I have to take this, and so yeah, there's a moment that the balance isn't right, and some emergencies pop up, and there was something that happened at one of our stores that we had to get on it right away. And so, again, it's making sure that we're communicating clearly on what's happening in one life or the other.
No, absolutely. And that's just a great example of creating boundaries that you have for both. And I think that you've done a really great job on this. But, right now you have been opening stores. I mean, Ariat's gone through explosive growth, successful. It's so wonderful to have a manufacturer brand branch into retail and just you have a client base that wants you and loves the fact that they can reach you now in retail, and you're opening up some stores that are doing really well. How are you balancing that travel and keeping that balance a little bit? And is there anything you think about now you would have done differently, even not just this year, but even in the early stages of growing Ariat, the retail brand?
Yeah, and thank you for recognizing that. It is fun to be a part of a brand that, when you're out and you're wearing it in the airport or you go and, meet with friends and they absolutely love the brand. That's what's exciting to me is people are excited about the brand and it does help with the growth. It helps with some of our wholesale partners as well to say, us within retail, here's what we're doing to represent our brand, but we also want to support you. And so it's an exciting time for the brand of Ariat, and also just growing into what we're doing. So, with that, I think you mentioned the balance between the two, and especially times of heavy travel. It is making sure that if I am on the road, FaceTiming with my family, being really true to who I am, and my values and what's important to me with that of our company as well. And I'll use an example. One of our district managers, and I think this is a great example to just show that we can't lose who we are in this growth phase. We can't lose who we are as people, as leaders, and at the same time recognizing that our leaders that we have, whether it's district managers or store managers, they have families as well. So it's very
Mhm.
demanding. We have high sales goals. We're pushing. We're opening new stores. There's tight timelines, but at the end of the day, everybody also has a family at home that we need to be really conscious of. And that's where, I'll use this example with one of our district managers. Their son made an all-star baseball team. And there's a tournament that they have for their baseball team, but it's falling right on top of an important event that we have going on at our stores. So, we have this relationship that they communicated and said, I really don't want to miss this. This is incredibly important to me. It's really important to my son. Um, are we able to either move the dates? Are we able to have somebody else? And so, this is where I love our team that we all jumped in and said, you know what, we're going to cover this for you so that you can go and spend the time with your son or with your son at their baseball tournament. Because we recognize that's just as important as going to the store event and what's happening. And, there's multiple, I have instances like that, whether it's around grand openings, we have, store managers where we've brought other people in to help. But it shows that we really see you as a person first, and that's the most important piece. And then we will support in any way that we can to help get, the business covered.
Absolutely. And I think that's just a great example of your culture and keeping your people whole.
Yeah.
Is that, like you said, they realize that there's this whole person and we have them about 40 or 50 hours a
Yeah.
week,
Yeah.
right? And, they're contributing at a high level, but they also are contributing at home as well. And again, I think that that's the model, but I think it's also what success looks like at Ariat, being a successful leader. You've probably have evolved in what you look like, as what you define success as a retail leader over the years as you have become a father and developed. And I'm just wondering, how has the vision of success as a leader evolved for you over time as you've become a father of an 8 and 10-year-old now?
Yeah. It's definitely changed a lot. I think prior to kids, and especially growing up in a competitive sports background, it's hit the sales goal, hit this target, do this, get this account or open up this door. Um, that hasn't gone away, but the focus has really shifted. And this is where I think back, and I do this. I actually have it on my desk right here, but really think, who am I as a person? Who am I as a leader? Who do I want to be? And how
Hmm.
is that being represented by, through my team and the way that I'm leading them? And this is where I lean on my personal values. And my personal values are actually health, so mental health, physical health. I think that plays a big part in who I am as a leader. Family is part of that. So balance, like, and we've talked about balance a couple times, but
Hmm.
balancing that, time at work with my personal time, with my family time. Um, Knowing that family's at the center of that and we need to live that every single day, and mindfulness. So again, being mindful of what's happening at work, being mindful of what's happening at home, being really present with the person that I'm with. So if I look at those and success, focusing on those three things for myself, I really think has allowed me to be a better leader, and not just focusing on where we at sales. What did we miss? What are we doing really well this week? And what can we keep pushing on? That's still there. That's still important because ultimately we have to hit a number, but really just taking a different approach to it and seeing, myself first, but also seeing my team as people and how can I live into my values, and also understanding what are their values, what's important to them. The more that I've been able to do that, our team's really pulled together, and we're seeing, big growth from that.
Hmm.
And it's just a shift in what does success look like of we're living into our values, we're living into our company values as well, versus hit this sales goal, hit this target, do this. Where's our KPI? Where's our conversion? Those are all still there. Those are never going away. We've just shifted how we talk about them to support the people first, and then the KPIs and the sales numbers follow that.
Absolutely. Well, that's terrific. And I wish you continued success. And most of all, I wish you a very, very happy Father's Day with your daughters this year. And I really appreciate you coming on and speaking to us today about the role of leadership as a father and a national retail sales leader at Ariat.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.